Greetings, ColecoVision fans. I wanted to give you some tips on broken controller repair. A lot of you might be acquiring these off of online auctions or local sites like Craigslist or Let Go, or however you acquire these things free sometimes if you're real lucky, yard sales. A lot of times when you get them, some of them can be abused in pretty rough shape. I've been lucky. So far I've gotten pretty good controllers. They're usually pretty grimy though. I usually recondition them. It's one of the first things I do when I get my ColecoVisions, and today I wanted to show you some tips on what's possibly wrong with it. Not a whole lot can go wrong with these controllers unless you have physical breakdowns of some sort, rips in cables, or just disintegration from water, urine. I don't care what it is. I mean, you get the wrong kind of liquid in here, it's going to destroy the contacts, especially like animal urine. I know some people store these in sheds and things, and you have rats and mice and cats that like to urinate on everything. So I have seen one of those from a friend of mine that they totally corroded everything in this controller. When you take it apart, you want to get these 5 or 6 screws. I think it's 5. Yes, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a hidden one in here behind the cable. You can see it right there. Kind of hard to see at first if you're a newbie taking one of these apart. When you take it apart, you want to be extra careful at the bottom. The tendency for anyone that's ever opened one for the first time is just to yank it off, and it's like, oh, there's a catch, and just completely break it off. What you're not seeing in the bottom are these catches down here, these teeth. Let me show you, give you a good picture of them. See those teeth right there? Those teeth can break really, really easy right here. You can see how they grab onto the bottom of this controller. There is a lip under here. You get the idea. But when you take it off, the best way I've found to take them off is once you get to that point, you want to just kind of wiggle it back and forth. You want to pull it back and up a little bit. And the reason I say up a little bit, it's because there's a lip right there that can get in the way as you're pushing back. Just take your time with it and it'll come off. Set it aside. These buttons are usually just stuck right on the sides of it. They're square with a square hole to hold them in. Just pull them out. Set those aside. While you got it apart, you can take Q-tips and whatever your favorite cleaning material is and clean it up. Or you just put it in the, scrub it in the sink with dishwashing detergent and make sure it's extremely dry before you put it back together. Let it set overnight, shake it real good, whatever, however you like to do it. Now, once we get this thing open, you're going to see that you have the keypad here, and it's just a ribbon cable that goes into this compression ribbon connector. You just want to pull it out with both fingers like this. And I do know that these kinds of cables were used extensively in arcade machines too, and actual real ones. Tron comes to mind, where they connected these sandwich boards together. Problem with these connectors I always hated was if they dry rotted, they come apart. This laminate starts to come apart, and when it does, the copper here just starts coming up and they start breaking left and right. This one's in really good shape. I actually cleaned it with something I call grease lightning. I put it on the cloth and cut all the grease off of it to make it a really nice keypad. Nice, beautiful, light gray. I'm real pleased that the vinyl on these didn't turn colors. They're the original color they were the day they were bought. And I've never seen one come in extremely yellow, so they used the right stuff, evidently. We'll set that to a side. Let's move on. This one, the controller did not go down, so I was like, So I wanted to open it up first of all, And what did I see? One of the cables came off. This wire is broken. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll help you out. You see one side of it is broken. It usually slides onto an edge connector down here, which would be this one. Reflections of my overhead lighting in there. As you can see, let me get that in there. There we go. You can see that edge connector between my light bulbs right there. And you see how it kind of fits on there. Now, there's no way to fix that part except the best tried and true way is I always just solder these back on every one I get. I never leave them like this ever again. It was a poor design, I think, and I put a drop of solder on each one back on one of these so it'll never come off. The solder joints on these things were horrible. I don't know why, but the PCB inside the machine was better than the actual controllers. I don't know if they had two different factories or what, but they definitely had some problems with quality control on these controllers, and don't know how that happened. Maybe the new book coming out can explain it. Anyway, I wanted to show you what I found on this one right off the bat, and I'll show you these really bad solder joints. You see the holes through there, and over here too, and you see those are really bad solder joints. That's actually some of your keypad right there. That's, you can see it right there. Look at that. Isn't that horrible? That is really bad stuff. See right through it. It's just bad. So I will come through and reflux this and put new solder on every one of these just to be sure it's got a good connection. Also, you can see these leaf switches here where your joystick are, and you can see when this plastic pushes down, it pushes on a contact right there to make connection. These get oxidized inside, and you want to use a microfile or maybe a small, very small piece of sandpaper with like 2000 grit. I mean, something that feels like paper when you're touching it, and you just run that in there over and over and get the oxidation off, and it'll be just like brand new when you're done with it. Do every connector and put it back. Also, I would examine these nylon washers and the nylon fitting on the front. Make sure you don't have any breaks in it. Any kind of breaks in this part right here, it's pretty much toast. So you're gonna have to either find another one or just keep this thing for parts. Here's your fire buttons. Now these fire buttons can get a little dirty and grimed up. And the way that I clean these is I go to my local Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know if Home Depot carries this, but this is a connector cleaner. It's an electronic switch and contact cleaner. Basically what it is, it's Freon, and it'll evaporate. It doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. So this is not a lubricant at all. There's no lubricant left behind on this. This basically is the same thing as electro wash, and it basically just washes out each one. And you can put it in here in the spring, and you squirt it, and you see it running down, and you'll see that it evaporates like alcohol, really, but it's Freon. It might leave a discoloration, but you're not going to see that once you put it back together. And it flushes it out nicely, just like that. That's usually all you need to clean these. They're usually pretty responsive still. I never had any problems. And while you're in here, you can clean the one for the connector. Put it upside down, shake it a little bit, make sure all the grime gets out of the connector. And that's pretty much all the maintenance you need to do with one of these, and you know, put it back together and it'll probably work just fine. There's no chips on here. There's a lot of Xenia diodes on here that they never go bad. So your main culprit is always basically solder joints on here, most of the time. And occasionally you get one of these broken wires inside. And that could be from the controller being dropped or something, and the shock, it would actually just broke off the actual bent piece of wire that was bent at the factory. It was just enough to break it on and off. That's the way it usually goes. So anyway, put it back together, and hopefully my tips helped you a little bit. And happy gaming. Thank you.